What type of willow is it that you look for?
Young willow. It could be a little bit thicker than this, but it's where the trees have been pollarded and the new willows grow. It's no good having old willow because it won't bend, it will just break. And then I'll have to bend it. Try to join them together there first and then go around a figure of 8. And then the long end that you left hanging out is to tie it with when you finish that piece.
How many of these did you make for the school?
16.
Gosh, you must have spent ages sitting here.
It took me all the afternoon to do those. I'm feeling this one might be going to crack too.
Are you trying to get them exactly the same size or one just a bit bigger?
One slightly taller than the other, so that they fit in, you see. Even end to tie off with.
Are you tying the bottom where they cross as well?
Mm. Line it up so that you get it more or less the same all the way round.
So that's the finished frame.
The finished frame.
And the two are tied together at the top and the bottom.
Yeah. This is why you need the flag leaves and the flags to cover up that amount of wood just at the top there. You cover that all in. There we are. So that's ready to do tomorrow. Take a length of string. Get some scissors here. Right, we start with some leaves to go into the top. I previously tied a piece of string on the top there to start it off, and we put the flag leaves to cover the joints of the sticks. And start to bind. Now I'll have a flag head then, please, Anna. Thank you.
Beautiful flag there, and it's Jane has some scissors.
There's another one there.
Easier.
It's broken, but that'll be alright. Gypsy treacle. This stuff. The stems go down. The stems go down the no, gypsy treacle.
Where is it?
What do you call gypsy treacle?
That. Do you want the whole lot or just this bit?
No, bring the whole lot, please. It's
No, that's not.
Galder Rose.
You've got two of the large purple.
I'll have one of those then.
Okay.
This. Okay. And then the gypsy treacle, please. Just hold on to it. Thank you.
Actually, that's nice. That's lovely, isn't
Mm.
it? That's nicer than the one from last year.
Mm.
Isn't it? Which one?
Could you put that back in the pot?
Yeah, of course, can done it.
Some clover, I think, please.
What was that? Is that there?
Do you have the arrangement so that it looks right from one side or from all the way round?
They all match. Each side you do to match.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got quite the right number of flowers to match, you try to match it in colour. Get the heads level. I think you see this going on, Janet.
Don't put that in your mouth, Hannah, because you'll go green.
I've already gone green today.
And do you want after colour?
I'd better have some hogweed.
Juice, what's this
Uh,
stuff?
This stuff.
What if I just pop a...
Let me those to go on with and then do me a few more, please. Okay. Just two. We used to do this with cow parsley, but
That looks much nicer.
But this is nicer, I think,
Yeah.
than cow parsley.
So much
And
cow
how
parsley.
parsley smells a bit.
It does, doesn't it? Made everybody sneeze.
Right, you've got the blue now. You're actually binding onto stems as well.
Right.
Okay. Titty bottles, I think. Red Campion, the correct name, but that's the local name.
Are you working your way down one of the four sides now?
All the way down to the bottom, and then you stop.
Yeah,
String,
and then we
please,
start
Hannah.
another one.
Do one complete one
Yeah.
first.
See, people tend to put it on in bunches
Mm.
and tie each bunch separately, but you don't need to. You have to, you know, just have lengths of string and keep just winding on. Moon
We're
daisies
gonna
after
have
that.
some of those ready pinky ones.
Pardon?
I think we can have some of those red pinky ones.
I don't know. They're
beautiful,
in
aren't
an
they?
emergency, I think.
Are they?
Which? The good neighbour, do you mean?
Those. What is it?
Good neighbour? I can't think of its proper name. The yellow pots after the yellow thingamies. So we haven't got a lot of yellow.
Yeah.
Hogweed, please.
I'm still not sure what hogweed is. Is it this stuff?
Yeah. Have these first.
Sorry. How many do you want?
That'll do. Okay. They are for these.
Blue daisies, is that right?
You can go and wash. No, come on, out of there.
There's hogweed again.
Okay,
Here.
what flowers are they?
Open up in the hogweed to go round.
Thank you, Graham. Well, there's a lot of hogweed.
What haven't we had?
The little red things.
Those big levers, I think.
I don't think we need those yet.
We haven't had any.
Well, hang on.
We've had
Yeah,
some
they've
there.
had gypsy treacle, I think.
Blue,
we've had
blue
everything.
butchers.
John's got a minute. You're right on that stool.
Yes, that one. It's coming on, isn't it?
Very nice.
Thank you.
Is that enough? Do you need some more?
Can you just pull those bits of grass, please?
Yeah. Okay.
So the stems are giving you something else to bind
Yeah.
onto, aren't they?
That's
Whereas
the idea, is if you do it in
Yes.
bunches, it's not so nice.
the string's got something more to bite into rather than
Mm.
just the willow.
This is all right, the first lines, but when you get to the last one, that's when it's difficult. Not squashing the...
What you've already done.
Mm. Last year there were loads.
But they
Moon daisies, I think they
they've
do
cut
these.
all the grass round by us, so everything that's on the edges is gone. And the clover really won't.
Yeah, because I had a look round Abbey Park.
Yeah.
But as we've walked
Yeah, it's
down,
been cut,
it's-
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all been cut.
Is that enough?
Yes, thank you.
Do you want to use any of this pink?
Pink.
Yeah. Which sort?
Clovers? Clovers, I think.
Yeah,
You have clovers there. Do you not want some of?
Yeah, sorry.
We haven't got that many clovers. There's
No,
more
that's
there.
what
I
I'm
had
thinking.
2 clovers already.
Yeah, but it's the colour I'm going for, not the flowers.
There's loads of this, but not so much clover.
There's some pink
Right.
here.
No, I need that at the tops. Okay.
What a big bunch of clover here.
I know, darling. More pink.
Why do you remove the leaves from it?
Well, it's get us in the
Don't make
way.
it too short. I don't. That's it.
Just as simple as that.
Mm. I'll leave the leaves on that bit now that goes on the outside, you see.
Where did you go this morning for the other flowers?
Oh, right up by Newbury.
Gosh.
Save that, we might need that bit.
We've still got quite a lot in there.
I know, darling, but we've still got 3 of us to do.
We've still got 3 sides to do. So yeah, that's one side complete. Okay.
So now you're going to keep looking at what you've done and
What
try
I've done
and
the other side.
do the same.
It gets
More or
easier
less.
then for us.
More or less, you know, as it was. So it's flag leaves and the flag.
Is that just something that you like to do, Vera, to have them all the same, or is that,
That's just my idea of doing it.
yeah,
You know, it's,
make it look
More
balanced?
it's not a rule or anything. It's just that the way I
Because
like to
in
do
the
it.
passing room, we've actually done, when there's been no cow pass, we've done it with grasses
Yeah, I
as
used,
well, sort of at the sides.
that was tedious though, collecting all the grasses. The top one was gypsy treacle, the white one.
Yeah.
First.
What do you want hogweed, did you say?
Yes, then moon daisies.
Okay, so that's 2 sides done, and
Hello.
you've tried to match up one side
Hello,
with the other one.
And look at your bobs. You've been swimming, Hannah, Lucy.
Blue butchers.
Well, you just come straight for swimming, did you? The road's very busy.
No, it's quiet, but they're just very so now keep them on for a minute back until you go back out in a minute.
Ow!
Well, yeah.
Right, could you The last bit is the most difficult bit to do because it makes your arms ache so much. Because it's heavy.
See what my magnet is. Is she a low one? You
I'm
make
also going to cut the string when I do this. I sometimes do. No, I'm not putting hogweed in there because it's getting a bit close together. The other hogweed, the other side will. I'll have some after this.
After moon daisies.
So I'll put that last one in. You're turning it round, Vicky.
Yeah, no, but we'll leave it there.
No, he's got anti-jump.
Can you explain what it is that you're going to do now?
I'm going to hang it upside down and water it and peg it out on the line till the morning and then water it again in the morning before they go off.
And what's the final preparation? How do you finish it off?
With a stick, the doll in the middle and then the stick through the centre, the doll will sit in there.
Have all the flowers in the garland got to be wildflowers?
They used to be because that was the rule, but nowadays they don't because there are so few wildflowers that they're allowed to put a garden flower in the top, but the rest should be wildflowers.
Right. Are any wildflowers not allowed?
Yes, wild orchids definitely, and fritillaries, but the rest you can pick but not dig up.
If somebody wanted to try and find out what they could and could not pick with wildflowers, who would they get in touch with to find out?
Well, I could tell them, or the Citizens Advice Bureau would tell them.
Is tree blossom allowed?
No, especially not conker blossom.
What about grasses? Because the flowers of
Grasses are allowed, yes.
Right. Which wildflowers do you avoid? That you could pick them, but you avoid them, and why do you avoid them?
There are some that aren't quite suitable. Bluebells, for instance, they're not suitable because they droop over. Borage, we don't use that because it droops. Buttercups I don't use because they drop so in a couple of days. You know, they don't last. They drop their petals.
When you were gathering the flowers, I noticed you gathered them very, very carefully, keeping the flower heads level, and then you tied them in nice neat bunches and snipped the bottoms so that everything was the same length. Why did you take that degree of care?
Because it's easier for making the garland. Some people would pick bunches of flowers all mixed up. Consequently, you've got to sort them all out. And you must have all the heads level, so we pick them that way. We cut the stalks level because it's easier to put them in to water afterwards.
How do you keep the flowers fresh? Because you picked them on the Saturday, but you didn't make the garland until Sunday night. What's the best way to keep them really fresh?
Immerse them in water up to their neck.
So you could put the whole of the stem in
whole
water?
of the stem in water. We use buckets and baths and things, you know.
When you've made the garland, you did that on Sunday night, how do you keep the garland, the finished garland, fresh, ready for Monday morning?
After it's finished, you put a piece of string through the bottom, hang it upside down with a meat hook on a line and give it a watering can full of water. By hanging it upside down, that keeps all the heads straight. If you turn them the other way up, the flowers would all bend over.
And when you were making those garlands, I heard you use what I think are probably local names for a lot of the flowers. Now then, what's gypsy treacle?
That's the rowan,
And what's pots and pans?
the yellow rattle.
And titty bottle?
They are pink and white campions.
And tom thumb?
Bird's foot trefoil.
And the moon daisies?
They're called oxeye.
And the top that look like irises, you called them flags.
Wild flags.
The wild
iris.
So the wild iris you call
we
flags.
call flags.
Yes, they're a wonderful yellow colour, aren't they?
Mm.
Is there anything else that you think people should be aware of when they're trying to make the garlands? I noticed it was a wonderful family thing with people passing things
Well, this
to
is true.
you.
You couldn't do it alone. You do need several people to help sort the flowers, and you shout out, well, I'll have moon daisies now, I'll have some yellow now, I'll have some pink now. Clovers too we used, the pink clovers. And
Can you use the same frame the next year?
Not really, because it gets brittle when it's dry.
And when you're selecting the willow or the hazel, what are you actually looking for when you're deciding which bits to cut?
Young wood, the young.
This year's growth?
That's right, the young growth, new growth.
And why do you go for...
Because it's pliable and it will bend. If you have a last year's one, it will crack.
Right.
Consequently, we do cut lots of them because some perhaps are not as young as others, and they just crack, they don't bend.
Lovely.
Irish Empress always did the judging, you see,
Oh.
when she was alive. And then when, I don't remember how many years ago it was, because years go by so quick, don't they? She said to me one day, would I help her? And I did, and then after she gave it up, I sort of kept it going, tried to anyway, you know.
As a judge, what do you look for?
Well, we look for, like, see what the top's like, you know, to see if they got the flags or anything like that, you know. And then to see if it's neat, you know, if it's bunched up sort of very neat. Because when we used to do it, you sort of had, like Vera does, you know, like white and then maybe yellow and then pink. See, make sure there's no horse chestnut or anything like that in it, you know.